Yeah, so you mentioned like Mourinho. Everybody talks about Mourinho. I've got a lot of time for Mourinho. I really like Mourinho as I loved his swagger early doors. I think everyone loved it a little bit. Okay, maybe the Spurs fans weren't the biggest, but sorry, not Spurs. The at times Chelsea fans weren't always about that, but I loved it, and I think he still has that, but he's turned into the victim, or he's turned himself into the victim. That okay, this is they're against me. Why you ask that question? Why do you like? Once you give a snippet of something to the press, they want a snippet more, and then the same snippet isn't enough. So then they ask a sillier question, or a more probing question, or a more question that's going to get you on the edge, and then they've almost tipped him over to be like, I was playing with you before, and now you've just ruined the game by taking it too far. Because the same snippet doesn't give you the same press article anymore. You've used that for half a season. Now you want the extra sauce. Now you want the kind of spring. Now you want that salt, like the salt thing over the steak. You want them more and more and more. But has the media ruined Mourinho, or has Mourinho ruined Mourinho?
I think with Mourinho, he's brilliant for about a season and a half usually, and then people start getting sick of him because he builds an us versus them mentality within the club. It doesn't matter who them are. There's always somebody to be like against, like whether it's the media, whether it's another team, whether it's this, that, or the other. It's always like with him, it's always us versus them. And I think it gets to the point where people outside of that get sick of him, like attacking them. So they attack back. And then it sort of, like you say, like it kind of ruins the game a little bit for him. And he's like, oh. And then obviously he probably ends up falling out with players because of something that the media have said about him or something like that. And the players like, oh yeah, maybe actually that is kind of true. So it takes like a season and a half. And then I think the longest he's ever been anywhere is what, 3 seasons?
3 long seasons.
Decent first season, win something second season, fired in his third season.
Yeah.
Usually.
It's usually what it is. Like the siege mentality is something he's always used. I mean, Ferguson used to use that, but Mourinho uses it. Mourinho's the sort of person that starts a fight and then runs off and comes back and asks what happened. Do you know what I mean? His football work represents this as well. Do you know what I mean? What was it that G sent me? You sent me something one time on Facebook, which was like after United had stunk out Anfield for a 0-0. Typical Mourinho, and they were like, Mourinho's version of Die Hard would have been to celebrate himself for hiding in the closet from home. I came out, I didn't die. You know? Yeah, that's like, he comes in and he starts. But look, what I think has happened to Mourinho, and why I think he's always been on the edge, but why he's maybe tipped onto the other side of going, do you know, confidence can become arrogance. You know, someone who's got a good-natured banter and wanting to be a little bit edgy becomes, right, you're shouting again. You always shout. You always do that. It's worn out a little bit. And what I think is the things that have tipped him onto that side, I think have just been watching the game evolve into, like, for me, Mourinho is still, or has been, and has the record of being the best reactive coach there's been in the game, certainly in modern times. Like, you're able to go to move defensively on a chessboard. Like, he would have the best defensive game on a chessboard, like the ability to go, I'm going to negate threats that you have. And I think that's why he was kind of very well attuned to go to Italy and have the success he had there, because we know Italy was certainly at that time, maybe still is, but certainly at that time was still
quite boring
game. Yeah, you know, these say it's hard for strikers to go there, right? Because it's a very defensive game. And the rise of Pep and Klopp in particular have challenged that whole thing. And now I think he's almost now still potentially the best reactive manager in the era of the proactive manager. And I think that is a big part of what has happened to him. And
I think fans have a big part to play as well. When they get the opportunity to go to a team that can score 3, 4, 5, 6 goals in a game, and they go to a game and it's a 3-2 or something, where both teams have really gone at it, and they get to see 5 goals, and out those 5 goals 3 were incredible goals, and then they go to see Mourinho. I don't know how Match of the Day would keep plugging him as the top three games to show where it's a 1-0.
They used to say he was box office, but it was never real. It was box office for what happened off the field. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, it was the personality, this cult of personality that there is around Mourinho. That when I watch him now, like again, his thing was I'll just avoid defeat every time I play a big team. Well, I'm sorry, this is like Super Sunday or the Saturday Night Live game, and everyone's hyped, and then Jose comes up with his flat back Mourinho and stinks the place out. Do you know what I mean? And he does this. And he'd do it at home as well. And it was like, the trophies almost excused it. But then Pep came along and managed to win even more trophies with a great style of football. Do you know what I mean? And also looking like, seems like a decent guy as well. I know we talked about Pep being what we think of his personality, but genuinely come across as like much more humble and certainly a lot more human.
Stable.
Yeah, Mourinho will come on and he'd be like, he's a bad winner and an even worse loser, and then he's an even worse winner again, and he's just generally not a nice person. And it's turned on him because, again, like it does with every club he goes to, it's fun for a year, and then we're like, it's a one-trick pony, Jose, isn't it? It's not a surprise to me that he kind of rose to prominence in the sort of the early 2000s and onwards, with most of the players he was managing with were in the 27, 28, 29, 30 range who played in the 90s, when you could treat players like that. The issue is now is the players, they're different. They're all millionaires now, multi-millionaires in lots of cases. They've all got their own social media platforms. They've all got their own voice. And this Mourinho style of stick and even bigger stick and wait till you see the stick outside, it's just gone. Like, we're not in that era anymore. And you think, for me, the best thing about Ferguson was how he adapted to the change. Like the way Mourinho treated a Cristiano Ronaldo was not what Giggs and Sharp used to get. And do you know what I mean? Like he realised and gone, again, that was the incredible man management skills to go, I have to now, I'm dealing with a different profile of person, human being first. How do I coax the best from these kind of people? Mourinho was like, certain players that are prepared to deal with someone who's hardcore because they themselves are like that, they're going to fucking love him. Keenan Souness would have loved him. They'd have fucking loved him. Or they'd have had a fight. One of the two would have happened, but they'd have probably loved him. You can't handle a certain type of personality and be like that and expect to be able to get the whole dressing room to come with you, which is why now it tends to end earlier than it used to do for him. He loses the dressing room earlier than he used to do, because the way he conducts himself, because he has this one rule of thumb and he's very good at it, but the game's evolving, the players are evolving, and they don't want to go there feeling like, I can't fucking stand this guy. There's one thing, you might not have a closer relationship with Pep, but I bet you fucking respect him. And I think Mourinho sometimes is disrespectful with it to the point where he damages the respect. And I think if you don't respect somebody,
I think the thing with Mourinho, especially recently, is he starts like chucking his players under the bus in post-match interviews, and you're like, how's that going to help the dressing room? Like Luke Shaw.
That is a big problem. That is a big problem because you can't, like, even in that documentary, with the City documentary, where Pep goes into a changing room and says, "Look, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to defend you, but." You guys know, and he went hard on them, and he said, but I'm going to go out there and defend you. And that's always been the case. Like, you defend your team. Like, we've all worked with teams, and no matter what happens, you defend your team. And that's the first rule of thumb. Defend your team. Defend your team. Back your team. And as soon as someone goes against that, you're just like, hang on a minute. So if I'm a player and my mate's just been thrown under the bus, regardless of if I think my mate's going to be thrown under the bus, I'm starting to think,
is he going to do that to me?
I'm next.
Yeah.
And do you know what? To touch upon that, do you know when he lost from United? Because we'll get into, obviously I'm a Man United supporter, so obviously I've had him in charge of my club. I've seen what it's like. When he lost me, 100% when he lost me was after the season he finished second, that he promotes as some big thing, even though we were never in a title race. But we played Seville, and we went out. Do you remember the Seville game? We went out of the Champions League. And they were like, and it was it? I'm sure it was the quarterfinals. Might have been even in the second round. In fact, you know what? It was the second round. It wasn't even 16. And he was like, you know, is this a bad result? Is this something that, should be addressed? And he was like, well, I beat them in the second round at Real Madrid. And I'm like, I beat them. You're Manchester United manager. And you've just gone, yeah, but look how good I am. I've been given this shit. You're the manager. And you've now just literally, not only have you now thrown a player under the bus, you've thrown your employers under the bus. You're supposed to be representing this club. I beat them in the same round.
Probably had the point.
Probably at a point when he's thrown certain players under the bus. The point is, you've got a responsibility. You're representing that club. And when he said, I beat them, and Manchester United have been shit for a few years, so why are you getting at me? I'd be like, you need to fuck right off, mate. And so when it happened, I was already Mourinho out from that. I was like, I can't stand the guy. I want him out. I didn't really like him in the first place, but I understood why United got him, because I think United got him as a reaction to Pep going to City. They were like, shit, they've got Pep. Who do we know who's had a good run? He's got the trophies. And they went for Mourinho. They went for they went for the dark side. They went for definitely the other side of the coin. But it's the results have been there. But for me, when I saw that, I was like, this guy's in it for himself, right? This guy isn't.
I think there was a phase where there was like stats going around where the number of times he's mentioned me, I, and them and you, like a number of times he mentions it, and the me and the I's as opposed to the us and the we was just incredible. It was so high. So it was definitely that mentality with him, and I think he does. But I also think he takes everything very personally as well.
He's a very petty person. I think when he went at Conte was a bit disgusting. Do you remember he brought out the match fixing?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? I was like, do you know what? Again, clickbait, and it's probably funny, and it's what we're all going to have loads of talk about. Typical Mourinho, it's box office, but actually, that was pretty fucked up. Because again, the way he spun it, do you know what I mean? That's why I think Conte would look like he was going to fight. In fact, he said, I'm going to sit. He was like, dude, that's well too far. That is too fucking far. And then,
also, I think when the media talk about Man U or whichever club he goes to, as soon as they talk about the club, I also think he takes it personally as well. I don't think he takes it as in like they're talking about the board or they're talking about whatever. So then he'll direct them. He's like, oh yeah, but the board. Oh yeah, but the players. Like, and because he thinks everything's at him. And I think that kind of shift in his mindset, I think the media do actually like poke him. Like, we can't sit here and say that the media aren't looking for everything they can get.
They'll poke anyone that will give them a response. Mourinho just presents himself. That's the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, look, all this aside, all this is great stuff, right? One other thing I'll say, which I also said about Pep but how good's the football? Same again. How's the football in the Mourinho? Discuss.
Yeah. Used to get results.
You don't mind going for a cup of tea. You don't mind going to put the kettle on and stuff.
Yeah. It's dead. It's dead football. It's dreadful. Like, it's just dead football. I can't think of it's just dead. It's died. It's gone. Like, it's moved on.
So tell me, Matthew, when you guys signed Mourinho, what was the reaction? What were the fans thinking? Because you guys were a lot of people welcomed it. A lot of people I know welcomed it, and they were like, look, do you know what? We could do something. But at the same time, those same fans recognize what you recognize, that Mourinho is a short-term fix. You need him there for a season, then you need to get him out. Because after a season, he starts doing wild things.
It was almost the perfect storm for him to arrive. The fans knew that they were like, this isn't really what we should be having, because it goes against... United is based on two main principles, really, which is attacking football and youth. That's really the exact opposite thing. You know what I mean?
They were my exact words to you when you hired them as well.
But what we'd had, the issue why we were almost, there was like a case of going, well, what else did we do? Is we'd just gone through, first of all, David Moyes' car crash. And then Van Gaal, the Van Gaal thing hadn't progressed. See, with Van Gaal, there was actually stuff to like about it in the style of playing. I remember us going and playing Liverpool off the park at Anfield, and we'd never even done that under Ferguson. Like, there was things about Van Gaal that was good, like the possession play, the way it looked. But with Van Gaal was missing one or two real game-changing forwards that would make that work, because Van Gaal, it's all very a bit like Pep, but in a different way. But players have to play in certain areas of the field, and he actually bans players from going into other parts of the field. And you need to play this exact formation. You need to play wide. You need to do. And I feel like he had 2/3 of two departments out of the team right, but the forward line, Di Maria's and Falcao's, none of them worked, and it just didn't work. Van Persie getting off the boil. Rooney was definitely declining by then, and he was missing a player up there. And I feel like it hadn't quite progressed enough, but he'd improved it from Moyes, but then Pep turned up, and it was a panic, and it was a case of going, we're gonna get beaten here. So Pep, we'll go get Mourinho. And I feel like when you don't have a director of football, we still don't have a director of football, and when a bank manager is making these calls, essentially you're getting each manager's players mixed with this bank manager that doesn't fuck all about football, doesn't even know anything about it at all. So you get these reactional situations, and United reacted, same as they reacted again, and same as they reacted again, which is why we sat now with a bunch of players that are a bunch of four different managers players, because we haven't had a director of football that's deciding longer term beyond each individual manager. There's not a vision there, because we don't have a football person in that position. The nearest thing we have to a director of football right now is fucking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's how mad it is. Do you know what I mean?
Wasn't there a chat of someone coming in as a director of football under Ole? Wasn't there a chat?
Rio Ferdinand or something. I'd be like, right, so it's the ex-manager game, is it? Do you know, the ex-player game. Everyone gets a shot, but yeah.
If you were to have one,
Van der Sar. Van der Sar.
Yeah.
Because he is an ex-player, so apparently you have to be an ex-player to get a job at United. So Van der Sar, and he's actually doing a great job in a role that's. And director of football is a weird one, right? Because it's there's so many different interpretations of it. It seems to be like it's different. It's not like this is what a director of football does. It can be in different areas, but I think Van der Sar is doing a role akin to that, and he's doing it very well at Ajax. But but the point is I was making there with
Mourinho signing.
Yeah, is that it was just Van Gaal hadn't quite kicked on enough, and the fans had lost patience with it because we weren't scoring enough goals. But actually, there was a lot more to like about Van Gaal than about Mourinho, in my opinion. He ran out of time because United spent a lot of money and they had some dud signings, particularly Falcao and Di Maria. Di Maria, I think Di Maria was someone who everyone thought would work. He had the number 7 shirt and everything. I think with Falcao, he'd been injured for that long that there was still a bit of a would that work? Wouldn't that work? But yeah, he had a couple of signings that didn't work.
Do you think he got the support? His argument was that he didn't get support. He wanted a certain player. Mourinho. He wants a certain player in defence, and Man U supports him to a certain level. And then when he said, "Look, I need a centre back," I can't remember which player it was, but he's like, "I need a centre back." And
Harry Maguire, he
pulled the plug just before, and he was like, "Look, you've supported me. You spent all the millions. Just spend a little bit more and give me what I want." And then he goes to the media and says,
Mourinho was part victim at Man United, same as every manager has been, because there's no director of football. And that's the thing. They were like, the director of football would have the authority to go, I'm going to back this guy, or I'm going to sack this guy because he's not who I want. The director of football should be one of the principal decisions of who that first team coach / manager / whatever we call them these days, who that person is, because there should be a vision that goes beyond any manager. The manager has to fit the vision. United are victims of Ferguson's success because they haven't adapted to this, because Ferguson was all of these things in one man. And the game.
Can you give an example of a good, apart from outside of Edwin van der Sar, has there ever been like a good director of football that's done a good job though? Because they always seem to clash with managers and cause more problems than they solve.
First person we talked about. What's his name again? Pep's director of football, the City one right now. They bought from Barcelona. Is it T?
Oh, Bergerstein. Chicky Berg.
Yeah. They literally got him so they could, because they knew the vision, and then that's why they were like, Pep's our guy, because that's the vision. So yeah, I think the modern game has got. It's definitely more of a continental thing that's coming across. But I think the idea is that what happens if we don't really have the era of managers being at clubs for a number of years? How many times can we look at it now? Like, Klopp, how long's Klopp been there now? 4, 5?
This is
4? That's mad. How often does that happen these days? Like, so you need to have, so if you're changing your entire direction every time you hire and fire a coach, that is mad. It's what United are doing. You can see it's mad. Do you know what I mean? Because you never had that issue because we had Ferguson for so long. You have to have a vision that goes beyond any one coach, so that then there's a continuity if that coach leaves or that coach gets fired or whatever happens. We're going to do all change entire direction again. There should have been a plan in the first place. The plan might not have gone. It might not have completely worked, but then you need to go, well, who else can take this plan forward? Not change it, get a new plan every single time. How are you going to plan long term if that's what you're doing? So I think a director of football is really important to that, especially if the person who's heading up the football operation, in our case, Ed Woodward, is a banker who doesn't understand banker. I said it could have been the other one, but he doesn't know football, so somebody has to be heading up that operation. And if that's the coach, then it's going to be different every time you change coach. I think it's madness. I think you need one these days.
Talking back about Mourinho, what kind of club then hires Mourinho? He's at Spurs right now. His record at Spurs so far, it's not great. It's not like something that you'd yeah. So what kind of club does Mourinho go to? Because I definitely think he has a brand that is a 1-year fix. I think so, but are clubs able to do that now? Like
when this burns down at Spurs, because it will do. I think my prediction is next club is AC Milan.
Okay.
It's a bit controversial. He likes that because he managed at Inter. But also in Italy, and it's a club that's a big name that's not one of the top clubs anymore. I think he goes back to Italy and he probably wins something because he can play that style of football. I think he goes to Milan next. I think this is his last chance in the Premier League. I'm amazed he got it. He was on Sky and I thought he was going to get quite comfortable there next to his 2 cavemen mates. Do you know what I mean? But he got offered the opportunity again. Do you know what I mean? And it's mad. But Spurs are trying to skim a trophy and they're prepared to just do that with his brand of football. And as soon as they get one, they'll punt him and they'll look for the next potch that's going to build them a bit longer term. But I think they'll skim a League Cup or anything. They don't care. They just give us something so we can stop being called the club that can't win a trophy. And the one thing Mourinho still has a track record of doing is delivering a trophy. I mean, even he was shit at United, but he still won a League Cup and a Europa League.
Yeah.
He still skims a trophy, right? He finds a way of dirtying a trophy somewhere along the line. So I think he'll do that. And the second that happens, they'll be like, let's get the next person in. It's going to do what Poch was doing. Because Poch, the only thing there is he didn't deliver a trophy. And I think
there is room for a manager like that in world football. I think Mourinho as a manager, he's like a lot of people say he's gone buy sell by date, but I think there is room for a manager like that where you know exactly what you're getting. You know you're only signing him for a year, and then after that year, you know you're going to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And he knows that as well. He knows that's a 1-year contract thing. Okay, they signed a 3-year deal, but it's not really.
Aali,
and I know Chelsea have been doing that for a long time.
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah. Maybe he might go into he might go into just defending teams from relegation. Like, who knows? But the point is that there's definitely a brand that he plugs into. And I definitely think that there is room for that brand. I don't know if it's in the Premier League because we only know really of Chelsea who like to change up their manager quite regularly. I don't know how long they're going to stick with Frank Lampard, but we've seen, like, for the last 10 years, 18 months you're gone, 18 months you're gone, 18. Generally, so there are clubs that do like to do that, but at the same time, where does Mourinho go? I don't think he's over the line.
His perfect role, I think, if he could get it, would be Atletico Madrid. But I don't think Diego Simeone's going anywhere anytime soon. But I think he could maybe fit in with that club's ethos, and it's a little bit disrupting. You know, it's the underdog against the two giants of that league and win it. And I think it would suit an older Mourinho down to the ground. Does he still have the kahunas for it without burning down the house first? Is he to be trusted? I don't know, but I think if he could get that job, he'd have a chance at doing well at that. I think he had that chance a couple of moves ago, and he's almost now reinforced that he's not what he was. And I think his best move would be somewhere in Italy to a fallen giant like AC Milan. He could have gone to Inter, but Conte beat him to it. But maybe he's the same. He could go to a club like that has a proud history, that is a big name, serves his ego. He's not gone to a mid-table team or something like that, and then actually then improve them, and he can go, look how good I am. This team was shit, and now they're slightly less shit because of me.
Yeah.
That's where I think he's at, to be honest, guys. It's such a polarizing topic. I think it's an incredible one. Him and Pep are definitely two of the most interesting to talk about because they've won for so long and they've done it in different ways. But if you're asking me again, Pep versus Mourinho, it's not even a thing.
Yeah, I'm not really. I think Pep has everything Mourinho has and a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.